Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going to try an experiment. We'll see if this works and if we wind up doing some more. But frequently I'm asked what are my favorite reels, whether it's modern day reels or, well, what some would consider ancient or vintage reels. I really admire design, I admire simplicity, I admire longevity, and I admire a well-made product. So I thought maybe we would just start the first one with the vintage and we'll work our way up. We'll look at, well, in this case, vintage bait casters, which were among the earliest fishing reels made. Then we'll move on. We'll do maybe some round bait casters. Maybe we'll do some spinning reels when they became popular in the 1960s. And then move on to low-profile bait casters, maybe the Japanese and European-made reels and the like. There's all kinds of subsets and genres out there about fishing reels. I like and appreciate all the well-made ones. And yeah, I have a couple of favorites there. Some of them are sentimental favorites, simply because I may have fished them as a child or maybe caught a big fish on it or some other kind of memory associated with the reel. But most of the time, from an engineering perspective, it's about the design, the manufacture, and the reels themselves. And I decided I would pick a few of these, highlight the manufacturer themselves, tell you a little bit about the reel, and well, we'll see where this takes us. We'll see what the next one yields. And if you like these kinds of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And if you do subscribe to the channel, please use that notification button. If you have ideas for this series or any series of reels, maybe informational in nature, something beyond just how to take apart and fix a reel, something that you would like to learn more about, well, I'd like to help you learn that. If I can find that information, I'd be happy to try and expand our videos by covering some of those items. So here they are. Here's 7 reels that I have on the table today from 4 or 5 manufacturers, and all of them hold kind of a special place in what I think is a quality reel all around. Let's start with this one. This is the oldest one that I have. This is a Shakespeare precision reel. This reel was made in 1912, and it still functions very nicely today as a 113-year-old reel. This reel was made by the William Shakespeare Company in Kalamazoo, Michigan. They were formed in the 1890s, and William Shakespeare was at its head and had a focus on fishing reels and design. William Shakespeare is generally credited with making the first of the level line featured reels. Well, William Shakespeare had a friend. His name was Walter Markoff, and Walter Markoff designed the Markoff reel, and at his encouragement, he had, at the encouragement of William Shakespeare, he had helped Markoff form the Markoff Reel Company. That was in 1907. Unfortunately, Walter Markoff contracted tuberculosis and died a year later. But Shakespeare, always trying to help out a friend, purchased the Markoff Reel Company, started manufacturing Markoff reels under the Shakespeare name. And if you find a Markoff reel, it generally will say Shakespeare on it if it doesn't, but if it does say 1964 on it, that's the dead giveaway that the Markoff reel was made by Shakespeare and not the Markoff Reel Company. The Markoff Reel Company only made them for about a year, and well, as a result of that, they're relatively rare. Now, this one is not back to that date. This one carries a Shakespeare date code of GE, which is 1946, and that's just when they started making the reels again after World War II. This one appeared in the 1917 catalog, the Markoff reel, and it was 10 times the price of a Shakespeare Universal. The Shakespeare Universal was the basic reel of the time for Shakespeare. That one sold for $1.50. This one sold for $12.50. This is an earlier version of this one. So Shakespeare not only made the Markoff reel, made its own reel. And again, this is another 1946 reel This is the one that, well, kind of became Shakespeare's name. This is the Shakespeare Wonder Reel, and it also carries that date code of 1946. And you can just see by the design, by the look, how the reel is held up, and, well, how it turns, as well as noting the similarities to these two reels. Look at the side plates, they're almost identical. But the Wonder Reel, well, that lived on for generations. And of course you had the Wonder Cast, the Wonder Reel, the Wonder Spin, you had the Wonder Rod. It just became Shakespeare's kind of branding and name. Well, also at the end of World War II, we had the development of Langley reels. This one is the Langley Cast Right. They did a Langley Spin Cast, a Langley Lure Cast, and others. Langley was a San Diego-based company. It was in the aircraft manufacturing business. It was an aluminum specialist. Yes, Langley Air Force Base in California is named after the Langley Corporation. And after the war, from the late 1940s to about 1957, Langley was a fishing reel production facility as they tried to change their wartime efforts over to peacetime and to supply the GIs who were returning from the war with a leisurely pastime. Well, that's Langley. Another reel manufacturer of the time was Pfluger. And Pfluger was started early on around 1904 and was the predominant competitor to Shakespeare. Ernest Pfluger founded the company, and this reel that we're looking at is a Pfluger Summit. And again, all of these pretty much look and feel the same. These are all in nice condition. But Pfluger had 4 sons, and Pfluger made an awful lot of reels in all kinds and characters. Eventually, Pfluger was sold to Shakespeare in the late 1950s when the sons and everybody were done manufacturing reels. Interestingly enough, Langley was sold to Zebco, and Zebco used the Langley spinning reels as the basis for their entry into spinning reels. Well, there was another company up in Michigan at the time. Shakespeare was in Kalamazoo. This one is the Bronson Reel Company, and this is the Bronson Lashless Reel. And while you wonder why both of those settled in Michigan, here's why. Bronson was founded by a fellow named E.J. McMahon, and he was a salesperson for Shakespeare. And in 1922, he set out to form his own reel manufacturing business. And, well, the rest, as they kind of say, is history. Bronson went on to make a full line of reels, not only under their name, but under trade names. They were famous later on for making the Heddon reels. They had purchased in the 1930s the J.A. Cokes Manufacturing Company, which made big game saltwater reels. They added that to their lineup. And Bronson eventually met the same fate as Ocean City. Bronson was purchased in 1967 by True Temper. Yep, those are the guys. Golf clubs and lawn tools and everything else. And, well, they stayed in business through the 70s before they were discontinued. And the last one, well, it's kind of a favorite of mine because it's a local reel. This is from the Meiselbach Company. The Meiselbach Company was formed in the early 1900s. They made reels in Newark, New Jersey from about I think it was 04, could have been 08, through 1917. In 1917, the Meiselbach Company was sold to Otto Heinemann. They made phonographic motors and engines, they being Markov, and also did Otto Heinemann. And, well, phonographs were becoming popular at the time. They bought the company for that. They continued making the reels in Newark, New Jersey until about 1921, at which point the production was moved to Ohio. In its wake, I got one more reel here we'll share with you, I think, somewhere out here. In its wake, they There was a company that was left behind. It was called Meiselbach Cartucci, and Cartucci continued to produce reels in Newark under the separate brand name from 1921 through about 1930 when, well, interestingly enough, it was sold to the Bronson Company. So a lot of interaction and interchanges between all of these manufacturers, a lot of common histories and friendships that have developed, a lot of beautiful reels. And if you ask me which ones are my favorites of this era, well, you're looking at them. Hard to choose one. Each has a unique history. All of them are beautifully engineered. All of them are solid performers. All of them have stood the test of time. I think the earliest one here is maybe 65 years old. And of course, this one's 113 years old. This one is probably 110 or 101, I don't know, somewhere in that area. They all work great. They all have gained my appreciation. And, well, I like them all. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did like this video, please indicate that. If you want to see more in this series, I'm trying to, again, cover a lot of different bases other than just reel repair. But if you'd like to see some of the other things, let me know. Your suggestions are always appreciated, and almost all the time they do result in videos. So let me know what you would like to see, and I will try to help you as I help you to do-it-yourself reel repair. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, and rescue, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. I want to thank you for watching, and I want to wish everybody a great day. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle.